Well, hello ladies, and welcome to our Scrap Happens card video. Glad to have you ladies. We are still working with our paper kit that we're premiering this month, and it's called Pumpkin Spice. Now, what I did, I took this thin cut, which is called the multi-square window thin cut. Now, you're not going to see this in the new catalog, but you can still order it. It is online, and you can even order it through a party. I just double checked and it was still available. And so what I did was I took this thin cut and with my Mink paper, I cut out on the dark side my grid for this window. And then I took that same color, only the light side, and that's what I'm going to layer this window onto. Now I knew what I wanted to do, but I played with some different colors, and what I found was I wanted this window to pop, but I didn't want it to overpower the card, and that's why I chose to go with the more subtle neutral colors. I am going to do something. I need a pair of scissors real quick. I'm going to snag them. Just one moment. So basically what I'm going to do to create this card is I'm going to take and just cut out this center section on my grid. Whoops. There we go. And what that's going to do is open up this center to allow me to put in a greeting, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is I do have some adhesive here. I'm going to put some adhesive just around the center part, okay, just for now. And I'm going to lay this on here and get it as close as I can to having an even reveal all the way around. Now I left these loosey-goosey for a reason. I'm going to be putting paper underneath them and taping it down, and then once I've done that, I'll add a little adhesive along the edges of these to secure everything down. Okay, so the next thing I do, we're talking about how to use up all those scraps. Let me tell you, this card's perfect for using up scraps. Let me see if we can come in just a little bit closer. There we go. So what I did was I took some of our beautiful pumpkin spice paper and I just cut a bunch of little squares at 1 1/8. Okay. And I'm just going to lay them out here. And then in addition to that, I cut 2 pieces of this same cardstock. But what I'm going to do, and I'll tell you why I did that. I was looking for another piece of cardstock or background and texture paper to add in there. And everything I was trying was just too much, if that makes sense. So what I did instead, I've been talking to you about that awesome new stamp set we have called Perfectly Imperfect. This is another one of the textured stamps on it. I showed you in the Scrap Happens scrapbook video, I showed you the paint spatter. Let me tell you, this just is awesome. It has this neat texture, and then it also has one of these brushed effects that I'm going to use for this card also. So what I'm going to do is simply take my Mink ink. I want to be careful how I say that. That could be a tongue twister. And I'm just going to ink that up really good. And I'm just going to stamp on top of these 2 little squares of paper. And I just absolutely love this pattern. It's just so, I don't know, just so right for just adding just a little bit of color. And that's just going to kind of break things up. So again, I wanted everything to flow, but not necessarily be overbearing. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is take my adhesive and I'm just going to, if you're not sure about where you want to add your color, you don't have to take these down right away. You can just slide them in there and kind of move them all about. I'm pretty confident where I want to put mine, so I'm just going to slide them in and tape each one down. Normally what I like to do when I'm working with one of these is kind of keep the same thought in mind that we do when we're scrapbooking, and that's to try to have a triple play or a triangle, because it kind of makes the eye carry, or so I'm told. I don't want to act like I know all about that stuff, but that's what I've been told, and I have found that to be true. So anyway, I'm just going to create some triangles of sorts with this paper. So with this nice bold paper, which has got this great background, that's the harbor, the new harbor color, and I am just falling in love with that, ladies. Now, I locked my cat out once, but evidently when I went to get my scissors, he found a way in. So when he climbs across our table here, don't be alarmed. It's not a wild animal. It's simply my cat. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and just pop in a couple of those stripes. Now, this, you'll know from my other video, this is like one of my favorite pieces in all this. I just absolutely love these colors. So I wanted to make sure I used 3 of those. And I'm just going to slide those underneath. Okay. And we'll put one down here in the corner. Oh, once again, I forgot to silence my phone. And we'll put one down here. So there's another triple play. And when I was creating the card to begin with, it's like, okay, I need something in here. But honestly, the other patterns were just almost too much. It just kind of, oh, where'd my piece go? Oh, let me see if this is it. Oh, found it. Wonder how that happened. Anyway, I couldn't find anything that didn't just kind of like overpower the other patterns. So that's why I did this stamping tone on tone, mink on mink, mink ink on the light side of mink paper. And as you can see, it's the same color that's here. Now, what I could have done is just literally stamped into that square, but I was afraid I would get that pattern beyond the edges. So it just made more sense to me to cut a little piece just like I did with the others and just put whatever image stamped on it that I wanted. So there we have the start of the card. And then I am still head over heels in love with the Isabelle card making thin cut and stamp set. It is still available, ladies, online. They haven't sold out of them yet, but it did come from our last catalog. So if you like the greetings that I've been using throughout this week, most all of them came from that. I don't think I have that set in with me, but if anybody's interested in the number, I would be glad to get that for you. Now, what I'm going to do is take, originally I thought black, but I started thinking maybe black would be a little too hard. So I think, what is this? Is this black? Nope, that's charcoal. Whew, it looks pretty dark too, but we're going to go with it. Now, if I had my Harbor ink, which I did get a deal in the mail saying it's on the way. Unfortunately, it didn't make it in time for this video, but I probably would use my Harbor ink. I think that would just pop. And when I remake, I'm going to see. I know I've got this pulled down where you can't see it, y'all, but if I put it up too high, I have to bend over and you see all my gray hair, and that's kind of scary. So I've got Thinking Of, and we also have a little stamp that says you, and I could put you down here, but I think I'm just going to leave that Thinking Of right now. I can always come back and put the you down here, or I can put the you inside or whatever. But I am going to come in. I absolutely love these perfectly imperfect stamps. Oh my gosh, ladies, so much fun. So I'm going to pick up a little of that mink ink, and I'm just going to stamp that right over top that wording. And I just love the way it kind of gives that paint swish. Absolutely love that, ladies. And I'm going to stop there for right now. Now, I would then come in and I would add a little tape, just like this, onto the back of all my corners and tape that down. Not going to make you watch me do all that, but here's the thing. I would love your input. How would you finish this card out? Would you put a couple little stamped and cut out leaves in this corner with a little bit of embellishing thread coming out of it? Would you just leave it as is? What would you do with it? Or what kind of greeting would you want in the middle instead of thinking of you? I would love to hear your feedback. And if you have one of these multi-window thin cuts, I would love to see what you can do with your scraps. So anyway, thanks so much for joining in and enjoy our craft block party. Thanks, ladies.